Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is bashing former President Donald Trump and his running mate J.D. Vance attacking them in American media outlets and touring an ammunition factory in Pennsylvania Sunday, reportedly arriving there at the taxpayers' expense on an Air Force jet. The New Yorker has an exhaustive piece on Zelensky penned by Joshua Yaffa, stating that the Ukrainian leader speaks with the urgency of a leader who knows that he may be facing his last best chance for substantial foreign assistance as President Biden's presidential term is coming to an end. The QA in the piece is revealing as Zelensky openly attacks Trump, asserting that he doesn't really know how to stop the war, even if he might think he knows how. With this war, oftentimes the deeper you look at it, the less you understand. I've seen many leaders who were convinced they knew how to end it tomorrow, and as they waded deeper into it, they realized it's not that simple, he said, ripping Trump's running mate, Vance, as too radical. Vance has come out with a more precise plan to the New Yorker, asked as Zelensky chimed in, to give up our territories. Your words, not mine. But yes, that's the gist of it, the New Yorker continued as Zelensky continued to, essentially, criticize the Trump-Vance ticket. His message seems to be that Ukraine must make a sacrifice. This brings us back to the question of the cost and who shoulders it. The idea that the world should end this war at Ukraine's expense is unacceptable. But I do not consider this concept of his a plan in any formal sense. This would be an awful idea if a person were actually going to carry it out, to make Ukraine shoulder the costs of stopping the war by giving up its territories. But there's certainly no way this could ever happen. This kind of scenario would have no basis in international norms, in UN, statute, in justice, and it wouldn't necessarily end the war either. It's just sloganeering. It would be one thing if these were just interviews, but according to reports, Zelensky, who has been busying himself criticizing the Republican ticket for president, flew into the United States, touring an ammunition factory in the key swing state of Pennsylvania on Sunday. Further, it seems he arrived to the facility on an U.S. Air Force CC-17. In other words, he arrived on the U.S. taxpayers' dime. Donald Trump Jr. is among those who pointed to the absurdity of the entire stunt. So a foreign leader who has received billions of dollars in funding from American taxpayers comes to our country and has the nerve to attack the GOP ticket for president. He asked, noting the timing of this is particularly poor, as a man with an obsession with Ukraine attempted to murder his father just 1 week ago. And he does this right after a pro-Ukraine zealot tried to assassinate my father? Disgraceful, Don Jr. added. It should be noted that in June, Vice President Kamala Harris promised another $1.5 billion to Ukraine. During a recent interview on X Spaces, Trump said he will end the Russia-Ukraine war as president-elect. I want to get Russia to settle up with Ukraine and stop this millions of people being killed, far greater than the number you read about. But I want to get that done before I even take office. I want to get that done as president-elect, because it has to be solved. Too many people dying. Too many cities are just in rubble right now. You look at the cultures just being destroyed. We've got to get that done, and I'll get it done. There wouldn't have been an October 7th. There wouldn't have been Russia attacking Ukraine. There wouldn't be inflation, all this inflation which has hurt people so badly. You wouldn't have had that horrible type of withdrawal we were getting out of Afghanistan, but with dignity and strength. That was the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And frankly, Russia would have never gone into Ukraine if it weren't for that, Trump added, pointing to the weakness of the Biden-Harris administration. They looked at that and they said, this country is no longer run by Trump. This country is run by stupid people.
My exclusive interview with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. We met Friday in Kyiv, and I wanted to first understand how he saw the current state of the war. Mr. President, pleasure to see you again. One more September in Kyiv. This one feels like it is happening at a very important moment on the battlefield. Ukrainian forces went into the Kursk region in Russia. You've taken a large amount of territory there. Has that worked? There are people in Ukraine who worry that you took forces away from the Donbass and that those lines are now fragile and weak, even though you have achieved success in Kursk.
Thanks so much. And thank you for this possibility to speak and for it. So First of all, we had very tough situation on the east, especially on the east, in Kharkiv region, in Donbas region, in some of this direction. It's Vuhledar, it's Pokrovsk, it's Myrnohrad, it's a lot of different cities. People know about only Pokrovsk, but you're right that the situation was very difficult. And they moved very quickly because we didn't have equipment. Again, when we speak about equipment, how to equip brigades, really between us, it doesn't matter how many brigades stand on one direction if half of them not equipped. So you just lose a lot of people. You lose people because they are not in armored vehicles or in something like this. And they don't have artillery, they don't have artillery rounds. To compare the number, Russia uses 12 rounds. We used 1. 1 to 12. That was the difference. Of course, the idea with the Kursk is a risk operation. It's true, we understood it, but the idea was to move some Russian forces there. And I think it was right idea.
You know, we've talked about munitions often, and you talk about it a lot. Help us understand. So the U.S. has passed this big aid package. Europe has passed aid packages. Why is that not translating into enough munitions for you now? Is it that there isn't enough supply, or is it that you need more aid?
Everything. A lot of different reasons. First, it goes very slowly. Second, we need 14 brigades to be ready. Until now, we don't have, from this package of brigades, we didn't equip even 4.
So you wanted to equip 14 brigades, and
you
have not been able to equip 4.
No, it's too much. It's too much for this. That's why we used our interior production of drones. Not enough, but we did it. It goes. As I said to you, that then after 8 months pause in decision before the positive decision of U.S. Congress, what we did during these all 8 months, everybody has to understand, we used all we could. We moved what we have in reserves and what we have in storages, or what reserves brigades who we need now, what they had, we took all their weapons.
You have also been trying to persuade the United States and Europe to allow you to use the weaponry to strike into Russia. Explain why this is important. What do you want to hit in Russia that you think you should be allowed to hit?
Everybody is looking the decision of the United States. Everybody is waiting for such decisions. After that, they make decisions. It's true. And so we wanted very much to use this weapon and just to attack these jets on the military basis, not civilians infrastructure, military bases.
So you just want to be able to attack the bases that are being used to launch these weapons, these planes, these missiles.
Yeah, because these jets, from there, they use not only missiles. They use these jets, and jets used per month 4,000 guided aerial bombs just on the east of our territory. 4,000 bombs.
And these bombs and missiles are hitting Ukrainian civilians,
schools,
energies,
universities, all our energy infrastructure. They destroyed 80% by these guided bombs. 80%. Now I said, we had some meetings with officials, and I said, we waited too long. Now Russia began to move their jets from 100, 150 kilometers, 300 to 500. After that, I will tell you, and that now we need more permissions.
Do you have permission now to?
No, till now, no.